Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all sorts of wonderful stuff. I'm joined today in the studio by one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Sitting over yonder, we have Ray Ora. Right beside him, running the show today, is Jonathan Voico. And right beside him, looking up, he's kind of our new fact checker. Taylor Gonzalez is there. And most importantly, guys, you are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. First half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. The way you get a live comment or question on the show for Rob and I to address is, number one, you got to be watching live. Number two, when we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats, and that'll be your opportunity to fire in your thoughts, theories, questions, and opinions, and we will again address those in the second half of the show. Also, want to remind you guys that in case you need a daily fix to the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news, there's an audio-only podcast version simply called the John Campea Show Podcast. Just go and find it on your favorite podcasting app of choice. Subscribe to it today, so it'll be there when you need it. Also, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, that's 6 p.m. New York time, I'll be doing open mic. So if you guys want to come back for a little bit more at 3 o'clock later on today, come on back and I will see you then. All right. With that all down, guys, let's jump into it here, shall we, with a couple of off the tops. And our first off the top is this. You know, we've been talking a lot the last couple of days about the fact that, you know, the streaming services that were going to change everything, and they have, are starting to go back to the way cable television worked, in the sense that they're all pretty soon going to have ad-supported tiers where you're going to watch your shows and have commercials as always, if you choose the ad-supported version, which is theoretically going to be a little bit cheaper. Now, of course, Disney has just recently done what Disney does best, which is screw over their customers and try to dupe people into something by saying, we're going to have a cheaper model, ad-supported model. And then what did they do? They just bumped up the price of Disney Plus so that their cheaper ad-supported level is the exact same price of what their regular level has been all this time. Disney, again, that mouse, giving them the double effers to everybody and all their customers, because basically Disney's motto in life is, fuck you, we're Disney. Anyway, a lot of things I love about Disney. I don't want to sound too overboard, but they really do. Okay, so that being said, they have now come out. It's official as of today. As of today, it's available right now. The ad-supported tier of Disney Plus, this is in Variety, as of today is now officially available. It is out there, ready to go. If and by the way, it's also now official that your regular Disney Plus that was $7.99 is now $10.99, and now the ad-supported version is the $7.99 that you've been paying for without ads all this time. But it is now available today. More than just that, they've released the full pricing guide for how this affects their bundles and everything too. So let's bring up this graphic here and take a look at this. Disney PR sent this to me this morning. So basically, if you're going to get Disney Basic, is now what they're calling the ad-supported plan, that is now $7.99 a month. So the same $7.99, once again, that you've been paying without ads is now what you're going to be paying with ads. Then they have the Disney Bundle Duo Basic, which is Disney Plus with ads and Hulu with ads for $9.99 a month. And, you know, I got to say, as a big Hulu guy, for $2 extra, not terrible, not terrible. Then the Disney Bundle Trio Basic, which is Disney Plus with ads, Hulu with ads, ESPN Plus with ads, that's $12.99 a month. And then the big granddaddy, Hulu with ads live TV, which is basically YouTube TV. What's the name of the other big one? Sling. Their version of Sling TV, all that kind of stuff, where you can watch all the broadcast cable channels, but digitally through streaming. They're charging $70 a month for that, which is competitive with what YouTube TV charges and stuff like that. So that's not outrageous.
With ads, though? It says Disney Plus with ads at $70.
I don't know that Disney Plus is included. That's just Hulu with ads plus live TV. I don't think that $70 a month includes Disney Plus.
Got it.
You're going to have to pay the extra $7.99 with ads or extra $10.99.
I'm just looking at what the subscriptions
Right.
that second column.
Oh, no, you're right. Actually, I think you're right. The Hulu with ads plus live TV plus you do get access to Disney Plus with ads and ESPN Plus with ads. Now, I will say, though, that the Hulu live TV at $70 a month by itself, like I said, that's competitively priced with like YouTube TV.
Sure.
And the fact that they are throwing in Disney Plus and ESPN Plus into that as well with ads is actually just a little bit of a bonus. I'm going to tell you right now, I actually, for an overall price structure, this isn't bad. Again, like I said, the highlight to me is that Hulu thing that's already competitively priced with YouTube TV, and they're throwing in Disney Plus. Adding Hulu to your Disney Plus with ads for just $2 extra a month. That's now the way they're packaging the bundles, I gotta say, are actually not bad. There is value here. I think if you're a home entertainment aficionado and you're a big fan of the stuff, I think with their bundles, there is value there. And I'm not going to let the fact that I am like, I still think Disney has done everybody dirty by saying, oh, we're coming out with a lower price tier with ads, but they just jacked up the prices of everything. That was still dirty.
Or stuck you with ads, because I'm a little confused because I have the Trio. So does
Right.
that mean I'm automatically rolled in with ads now?
That's a good question. They didn't really, in the press release that I read, there wasn't really a lot about the grandfathered plans.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know. Will they offer a Trio without plans? I know I have Hulu Plus without ads, and I have Disney Plus without ads, but can I get that in a package bundle with ESPN? I don't know. So again, so the bundles look pretty good. It's just based on a mountain of lies when they said they were going to be reducing the prices for ad sport tier, and they really didn't. But anyway, Rob, there's some sneaky stuff in here, but there's to be fair, there's some good value in here too. How do you look at this?
Well, I'm confused by that graphic that we were just looking at. It was a little confusing to me because it's like, okay, regular Disney Plus at $7.99 has no ads, according to that. But if you get it for $9.99, you can get Hulu and Disney Plus, but they have ads?
No. So bring it up. Disney Plus Basic,
Yeah.
that is with ads.
It is. Okay. 'cause
Yeah,
it didn't
that's
say with ads.
$79 a month. Because
Okay.
the new Disney Plus without ads is now, which it has been $7.99, it is now $10.99.
Okay, because that's not on there.
Yeah, they forgot
Yeah.
to include that in the thing.
Okay, that's
But
why that's why I'm confused. I'm
that's what
looking
they
at this
mean
going,
by basic. When it says Disney Plus Basic, that
okay,
means with the ads.
With ads.
They're saying in the chat here that the Trio with no ads is basically $19.99 a month.
What does it say on the graph there that we had up on the chart for the Trio?
Yeah, it doesn't bring. Well, that's with ad, but without ads, it's saying.
So they're saying with the Trio, it's $13 a month.
And without
ads, it's 20.
So
Yeah.
this is just
Okay.
a graph of their ad tiers.
Of their ad
new
tiers, yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it really comes down to the fact that, like, I do not want to have a streaming service that's showing me theatrical features or premium shows like Andor with ads.
Right.
The whole point for me of having a streaming service is to not watch movies with ads in them or TV shows. I hate ads, especially in feature films. You know what doesn't have ads, John? Physical media.
It does at the beginning, but
Well, that's true.
Yeah, there's a bunch in the beginning. But I mean, at the same time, there was a study came out that Disney says they did a study that shows up to 25%, 1 out of 4 of their current Disney Plus subscribers, they believe are going to downgrade to the ad supported to the commercials. Maybe as a culture where we're just so accustomed to having commercials.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly right. And I think, look, if you're a family of 4 on a fixed income or something, every little bit helps. So if you've got streaming service, whatever kind of services, gaming service, all these different services, saving $2 here or $4 here adds up.
Yeah, and so for maybe for some people, I think it's also just depends on your individual nature. Like I know some people that just commercials just don't bother them at all, so that's fine. And so for them, yeah, save. I can get the commercials, but save a couple extra bucks. I'm sure if it was the same price, they would choose the non-commercial version. But for some people, but for other people, it's like I'll pay double if I don't have to watch ads. Right?
I just, I've got some services that have ads on them, I just wish that in an hour-long program, you didn't have to watch the same commercial 4 times.
I know.
That's
I know.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like, look, I could deal with the ads, but I want to punch myself in the face sometimes. You know, if I have to see another Safe Light,
No one's
Safe
stopping
Light
you.
repair,
Safe
Safe
Light
Light.
replace.
I just,
Yep.
I'm going to shoot somebody myself, probably, or at least bang my head against a wall. I can't. I hate that. I mean, you'd think that with ad tiers, they'd want to, give you. I guess they're trying to give people bang for their buck, but they would tailor the ads more.
Well, but we all forget too that they have to have the advertisers to fill the inventory.
Right.
So if they've only got 6 advertisers for this quarter or whatever,
Or this time period.
yeah,
time
you're
slot.
going to see repeats, and that happens quite often. Where I've watched something like on YouTube TV that does have commercials, and like I've literally watched the same damn. Whatever the find out your genetic code history background was, it 21andMe or whatever.
Yeah.
it's called?
3andMe.
I've seen that ad like 7 or 8 times on one show.
I do. Sometimes you get where an ad will do like a premium thing, and they'll say, "Off our good graces, we're actually just going to run this ad at the very beginning, so you don't have to be interrupted." But they're paying more to those.
Oh yeah, for the
streaming
upfront.
services
Yes,
for
yeah,
that.
that's more premium placement. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the new pricing bundle? I mean, I still think it was dirty that Disney said, we're going to offer a cheaper plan, but they just jacked up the prices to make it appear. But at the same time, I think the bundles do offer value there. There's some decent stuff there. Anyway, how do you guys see this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. Now, of course, we've got Avatar 2, The Way of Water, coming out. Right now, the box office projections are targeting around $170 million, which would be monumentally bigger than the first Avatar did in its opening weekend. Then we'll see what kind of legs. The first reactions for Avatar, The Way of Water came out yesterday, glowing pretty much across the board. They've all said it's better than the first one. So, I mean, that's good to hear. A lot of positive stuff. Well, now we can look forward to the future a little bit. Now, one of the producers on Avatar was recently talked to and being asked at an event about like, where's Avatar going to go? And he suggested that they could be going to Earth in Avatar 5. Now, this comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who wrote the following. During the promotional tour for Avatar: The Way of Water, producer John Lando spoke to IO9, I like IO9, about the movie and the Avatar sequel plans. This included him dropping a curious tease about the change of scenery for Avatar 5. Landau seemingly revealed that part of the plan is for the Na'vi to travel to Earth to learn more about the planet that is at war with Pandora. He said this, in movie 5, there is a section of the story where we go to Earth. And we go to it to open people's eyes, open Neytiri's eyes, to what exists on Earth. He went on to elaborate that the purpose of the Earth story is to explain to Neytiri that all humans are not bad like the RDA. All right, now somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Neytiri is Zoe Saldana's character, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess we know who doesn't die. I guess we know one character that doesn't die in 2 or 3 or 4. There have been a lot of speculation going around the last couple of days, especially with Zoe Saldana's recent comments about feeling creatively stuck being in a lot of franchises, and the fact that she's not featured a hell of a lot in the trailers for Avatar 2. A lot of people have been speculating that maybe Neytiri dies. Well, if she's going to be going to Earth to check out, to go do some sightseeing, go to Vegas.
I'll tell you something more interesting than that. By the time this comes out, Cameron's going to be gone, and it's going to be Cameron's own AI directing the movie.
It's going to be Cameron, because Cameron's going to be like 88.
Yeah, he'll just be a hologram directing.
By the time this thing comes out. So, I mean, look, the idea, part of the foundational DNA of the Avatar franchise, right from movie 1, has been the idea of cultures clashing, right? And we've looked at it through the eyes of Sam Worthington in film 1 as an Earthling coming to this new world and experiencing the fish out of water as experiencing this culture for the first time. If they do get to movie 5, it does seem like a logical progression that you then turn the tables on that cultural exploration and now looking at Earth culture through the eyes of somebody like Neytiri, who by that time will have been through 4 full movies with. So it actually sounds kind of interesting to me and sounds like it would be the natural progression of things. Again, I just thought it was interesting that he dropped that Neytiri is going to be there in 5. I don't know. What did you take away from these comments?
Well, the Pocahontas story. Pocahontas does go to the old world,
right?
And so that makes sense. More grist for that mill, but it makes sense that the Na'vi would come to Earth. I think that would actually be pretty compelling. John, if you'd like, I have the extended version of Avatar.
Of course you do.
And the extended version of Avatar has a longer sequence on Earth with Jake Sully before he goes and finds out his brother has died. So you get a little bit more. It's kind of a Blade Runner-esque type Earth. And it would be interesting to see what the Na'vi, what their experience or how they could teach. I think it fits along the lines with what Avatar could be, like this culture clash. And I would be curious to see how they play that up, because aliens on Earth is always interesting. It's always interesting to see.
We were just talking about District 9 yesterday, about the different ways you can approach it.
When I was a kid, I loved Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the third Planet of the Apes movie, where Zira and Dr. Milo and Cornelius go back in time to like 70s LA, and they become kind of the cause celeb of the town, and they go shopping, and I'm not saying they're going to do that, but it would be interesting to see them. How would they navigate that, and what how would they problems
navigate that?
Oh boy!
Okay, that was bad. I instantly regretted that the moment I started saying it. That was really
I fact checked that, and that was a bad joke.
and by the way,
got him.
By the way, I was watching an interview. I don't know, might have been Fandango, but Sam Worthington said that they've shot about 95% of Avatar 3 already. That they only have a few scenes that they owe. So, they'll be in post-production for 2 years, but it's already, the third one's basically shot.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you make of this? They're saying by the time they get to Avatar 5, they're going to be going to Earth, and Neytiri apparently is going to survive all the way through that. What is your takeaway from this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys. Before we move on to our hotline question today, we're going to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode, the best fitting shirts you guys can get. My favorite shirts, our friends at True Classic. We want to thank the sponsor of today's video, True Classic. The holidays are here and there is plenty of t-shirt cheer thanks to our sponsor, True Classic Tees. Guys, we have the perfect gift for your wish list. True Classic Tees are a gift for you, for her, and a great present for any guy in your life. True Classic is on a mission to maximize men's confidence by making them look good. Get 25% off True Classic with my exclusive link, trueclassic.com/Campea, and the discount doesn't stop there. You'll save even more during their site-wide sale. Guys, like most of you, I have always struggled with finding the right shirts for me. Either they're not all that comfortable or they don't fit me all that right. Well, the best thing is that True Classic's team has designed t-shirts to make guys of all sizes feel confident in their clothing. These shirts taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. This is the perfect look that can be achieved by every body type. And they offer other menswear as well, ranging from polos to workout shirts designed to keep your body feeling nice and comfy. So guys, get 25% off at trueclassic.com/Campea. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. That's 25% off at trueclassic.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at True Classic for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys have a question, we'd like to hear your glorious voice on our show. Just go ahead and call our hotline anytime, 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Leave a message there, and maybe you'll hear us address it. And today's question is asking about the possibility of maybe an Eternal or two in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Check it out.
Hey everyone, this is Marcus from Rochester. For the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie, what are the odds that an Eternal were to make an appearance in the movie? It's already established that Peter and Mantis are descendants of Ego, who is a Celestial. There could be some crossover possibilities. And what impact could that have on the MCU going forward? Thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Marcus. And you know what? You raise a really good question, because as we get through Eternals, which I believe gets unfairly criticized. I mean, I didn't think it's a perfect movie, but I quite enjoyed Eternals.
I did too.
And they do a lot of interesting things with the mythology of it, and of course the Celestials. It wasn't the first appearance of the Celestials, We found out in Guardians 2 that Peter is the descendant of a Celestial. He's the son of a Celestial. Eagle, Kurt Russell, is a Celestial. And that does kind of set up some narrative thread points there. And by the way, the last time we were with the Eternals, they were off in deep space, going out searching for other Eternals and things like that to rally to their cause. And of course, Harry Styles came in fresh off his makeout session with what's her name?
Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde, Jason Sudeikis' ex. There you go.
The now People's Choice award-winning Don't
Olivia
Worry,
Wilde.
Darling director Olivia Wilde.
So, I mean, the whole idea that, and now with the holiday special, they've kind of gone back into that, revealing that Mantis is also a descendant of a Celestial. There could be some natural narrative connection there. The one thing working against it, two things working against it. Number one, yeah, they're in space, but and I'm no scientist, but space is big. There's a lot of space. And just because their two people are in space, it's not like we happen to be in the same 7-Eleven at the same time. They may not necessarily come across each other. Also, narratively, there may not be a point to bring in an Eternal at this point because it doesn't look like, from the little we've seen, and when we see more, it could totally change our perspective. But from the little we've seen, and from that trailer, it doesn't really look like Peter's lineage is really a main part of this story. I mean, not necessarily, but I mean, in fact, Adam Warlock is there. That opens up some possibilities. I'm going to go 20% that we're going to get any sort of either Celestial play here or other Eternals at this point. Although it is feasible, yeah, I'm going to go 25. I'm going to go 25% chance that we see one of the Eternals in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Rob, there's a whole lot of background in this in the comics as well. There are new characters coming in. We left off the Eternals going off, floating around the galaxy, the Celestial connection. I don't know. What do you think the chances are that we see an Eternal?
I think maybe pretty good. I mean, when I say an Eternal, we might not see an Eternal we already know. But I think that there could very well be an Eternal in this movie. Or maybe somebody we do know. It would only because that there is an obvious, maybe they show up at the end too. Post-credit scene or something. I don't know. But it would make sense. I mean, obviously, if the Eternals have been the front line for the Celestials for billions of years, which is what they say, and then the Eternals get reprogrammed to start again on their new missions, I think maybe there's a possibility. I mean, if of all of the other Marvel Cinematic movies, I would say that would be the one that you would see. You know, this would be the one movie that you would get Eternal in, if we get one.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about that idea? I mean, there is a connection between Eternals and Guardians with the Celestials there. We do have a number of Eternals characters. Heck, they were, remember, in the holiday special, we saw Kingo, just briefly, a Kingo Christmas back there. I mean, I don't know, maybe Kumail Nanjiani. I don't know. Do you think there's a possibility we could see one or two of the characters from Eternals pop up in Guardians? Maybe yes, maybe no. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys select our main topics. See, whenever you guys come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime, 24/7, over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you'll see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Rob, what's our first main topic today?
Oh, boy. William asks, hello, Jennifer Lawrence had a conversation with Viola Davis on Variety where she stated, I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work. Because we were told girls and boys can both identify with the male lead, but boys cannot identify with the female lead. Obviously, it is an incorrect statement, and many people are in an uproar about this, considering the fact that many actresses, such as Sigourney Weaver and Uma Thurman, played leads, to name a few. Do you think that Jennifer Lawrence is unaware of film history? What do you and the gang think? Apparently, she doesn't know Luc Besson's La Femme Nikita,
Well,
which was turned into how many American TV shows?
many. Aeon Flux. I mean, we can sit here and go down a laundry list, of course. All right. So I saw this, and honestly, I think people are making a big much ado about
Yes.
nothing. And here's why. If you ever watched like her conversation with Jack Nicholson, or if you watched her talking with Bradley Cooper when they were talking about their favorite eras of films and stuff like that, I'm not going to say that Jennifer Lawrence is a straight up Hollywood history, what's the word I'm looking for, expert or anything like that. But she's a girl who knows her Hollywood. Like she's a massive fan of cinema and all that kind of stuff. The thing is, the one part she said there about the big narrative going around is that, you know, boys and girls can relate to male action stars, but they can't relate to female action. That's true. But we saw that everywhere. That's still nonsense being said today in the chat boards all over movie fandom that, I just can't believe a girl could fight somebody. I'm like, all right, whatever, it's a movie. But so she was absolutely 100% correct about that. And that was still a case when she was doing that movie. I honestly 100% believe this was in the middle of a conversation. This wasn't a pre-prepared statement that she put out in a press release.
Right.
I honestly just feel she just minorly misspoke. I honestly believe she just minorly, of course she knows about Aliens, and of course she knows about Kill Bill, and of course she knows about Aeon Flux, and of course she knows about on and on and on. Of course she knows about those. I think it was a minor thing that she misspoke, but we live in a culture right now that is always looking, you have certain segments of our culture right now that is always looking for those little slip-ups to jump on and make a giant issue out of. And I honestly think this is just a minor thing where she misspoke a little bit. She just worded it wrong. I honestly don't think there's anything to talk about here. I don't know, Rob, you heard this. What do you think?
Look, I totally agree. And all these think pieces and everybody getting triggered and outraged. I think what she was saying, like, is at the time, theatrically speaking,
that's exactly what I think it is. Yeah.
That's what she's talking about. She's talking about the fact that because the thing about it is, Alien, where Ripley's introduced, was not sold as an empowering female action hero movie.
It wasn't. Well, the first one wasn't even sold as an action film at all.
Really, just a horror film.
Right.
Yeah,
It was a horror film. And of course, the second one that was, because that's Ripley was established. But what Jennifer Lawrence was saying is that at the time when Hunger Games came out, that there was a question as to whether or not a female lead could become a box office success, you know, where they actually put her front and center and sold the fact that she was that. And I think for a certain demographic as well. I mean, people from film history have been loving, like La Femme Nikita wasn't exactly a $300 million tentpole property. And so in that era, how many, I mean, sure, you had things like Lara Croft or whatever, but that was because it was a pre-sold property.
And those didn't do great.
No.
And those actually helped create more of the question about, well, can we even do female lead?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I wish we saw more of, especially in film punditry, is to just calm down and try and infer what did she really mean when she was saying this. And by the way, I watched some of that interview that she did with Viola Davis. Viola Davis was really interesting in that interview, not talking
She's
about
always
this.
interesting.
She's amazing. And I really enjoyed listening to her, and she made this really great point about how people aren't connecting. It's worth a watch. But I think that's what Jennifer Lawrence meant here, is that there was a question: if can we turn the Hunger Games into a franchise? Would guys go? Would teenage boys go? And I think that's what she was absolutely alluding to. And I think it's pretty obvious that's what she's alluding to in this conversation, especially when you see it in context. I mean, but everybody just wants to jump on her. And it's like, I mean, look, there have been strong women. The leads in femme fatale movies, you know, in the 40s were empowered, dangerous women. But at the box office, could you put a teenage girl front and center and have people go? Teenage boys go, which is what they needed for the Hunger Games to be a hit. Fortunately, they did go. Yeah,
because at that time, you brought up Tomb Raider, right? Which had Angelina Jolie. But she also, Angelina Jolie was also front and center of the one she did with James McAvoy and Morgan Freeman.
Wanted.
Wanted, right? Which I really love Wanted, but not a lot of people went to go see it. The question at the time was, can right now we do these movies? And that was the question. People were asking that question.
Yeah.
Now, if Jennifer Lawrence did not misspeak, and she literally was saying, there has never been a female action lead. She's either one, the purest form of an idiot that you've ever seen. Like she wouldn't be able to tie her shoes to walk out the front door in the morning if she'd be that dumb. Or number two, she's trying to rewrite history and thinks nobody on the planet has internet to just look up to fact check her to see that she was wrong. Look, she clearly misspoke. Again, I don't think there's anything to talk about here. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this when Jennifer Lawrence says, and it was a dumb thing to say, it was the wrong thing to say, there's never been a female action lead. Obviously, to Rob and I, clearly that's not what she was trying to say. She misspoke, but maybe you see it differently. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of our video today, the ones who get me the nutrition I need because I don't eat enough vegetables, my friends at Athletic Greens. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Athletic Greens. Now, I started taking Athletic Greens because I don't eat enough vegetables, and I was looking for a way to make up for that deficit in my diet of those vitamins and minerals that I really need in my system, and thank goodness I found Athletic Greens, and I literally take it every morning. You see, with one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, all the things. And my wife got onto it, and now she absolutely loves it. You know, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, like Athletic Greens. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Campea. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Campea to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you to our friends at Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So if you go down to the description of this video, you'll find links and promo codes to all of today's sponsors. And thank you again to Athletic Greens. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Rob, what is our second main topic today?
John, it comes to us from Ready Teddy Seti. It appears previous reports have been greatly exaggerated. Dwayne Johnson posted on his Twitter page that Black Adam is actually in the black and compares it to Captain America 1. I'm also seeing reports of a Hawkman spinoff as a result. What are your thoughts on this?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that out, Ready Teddy. Okay. Yeah, so this thing started going around yesterday. Now, look, Black Adam has not made $400 million at the box office, which is a little inconceivable. I mean, I don't think it was going to be $1 billion film, considering that a lot of people never even heard of the character Black Adam, and that the marketing campaign was, quite frankly, a disaster. It was an awful marketing campaign. If it wasn't for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I think this movie would have made $300 million or less. I just think Dwayne Johnson's presence and his super active social media presence and constantly trying to plug this movie is what got it to as high as it was. Now, a report came out a couple of days ago that ran into most of the major trades that Black Adam needed $600 million to break even, which I told you, no, it does not. I showed you guys the math that it actually needs somewhere between $400 and $450 million to break even. So I don't know where this fairy tale number of 600 million came from. Still, it was clearly not going to get to that. It still had to account for the marketing and the P&A costs and all that kind of stuff. Plus, it had to account for the cut that the theaters keep and all that kind of stuff. And you had outlets like Variety saying that the film was going to lose about $100 million. Well, then Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Deadline, with who they claim had connections to the studio, are saying that the movie not only broke even, but the movie already made up to $72 million in profit. And I sat down and I looked at the numbers and their breakdown. There were a few glaring omissions. And let's look, Hollywood has often been accused of having some very creative accounting. I think there's some creative accounting going on there, but I still feel like the movie was getting close to breaking even. Anyway, this comes to us from Variety. Variety wrote this: Black Adam will stall out with less than $400 million globally. Sources at Warner Brothers dispute those numbers, saying the movie will break even at $400 million. In any case, Black Adam isn't the financial winner that DC had hoped when the movie was greenlit in 2019. Theatrical may be only one component of profitability. There's also TV and pay one deals, but box office returns dictate those downstream terms. Even with premium video on demand sales, which could bring in an additional 25 to 35 million, Black Adam isn't looking like it will get out of the red by the time it lands on HBO Max. So you've got a little bit of a he said, she said thing going on. And look, I fall in the middle. I have never believed that this movie is losing over $100 million. Again, when on this show, we went into the Campea classroom, we did the breakdown of the numbers. Losing $100 million was not something I was going to do. There is also no way in holy hell this thing is $75 million in the profit already. Like, that's just a fairy tale. But I believe the truth is somewhere in between. Again, you know, the math that we often use about where does a movie break even, we say this is a general guideline. Every movie is unique. There's going to be exceptional circumstances here and there, but somewhere between $400 and $450 million, probably closer to 450, but Warner Brothers is saying 400. That is probably what Warner Brothers said to Variety, I believe is probably a more accurate number, which means that, hey, maybe Black Adam does break even. But either way, this is by far less than what they were not only hoping for, it is far less than what they were expecting when they were putting together a Dwayne Johnson-led superhero movie. Of course it is. Dwayne Johnson is the most electrifying movie star in the world. The most electrifying, I can't remember the exact saying he says, but, you know, and he has the biggest social media following. Nobody works harder than he does.
No.
He's going to push his movies and all that kind of stuff. One of the reasons he's my second favorite movie star in the world. So there's a he said, she said thing going on here. I believe the truth lies somewhere a little bit in between. But either way, the bottom line is this movie did not make the money, near the money that they were not just hoping it would make, but actually believing it would make. But Rob, what I've said before, I still stand by. I said this on yesterday's show. I said, whatever the numbers end up being, I still believe that enough people like me had enough fun with this movie that if they do a sequel, and that may be in doubt, as we'll talk about a little bit later in today's show.
Oh, yeah.
But just in theory, were they to do a sequel, I believe the groundwork has been laid that the sequel would make not significantly more money, but noticeably more money than this one did. Now that you're building upon the fan reception of the first one, now there's greater character recognizability amongst the pop culture, all that kind of stuff. So to me, the movie was still a win. Where the truth about where it falls financially, it's probably somewhere in between. Rob, you had a chance to look at all this stuff. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, clearly the movie's a disappointment, and it's a disappointment because it wasn't that good. You know, it's a simple, but in terms of box office, people have to remember that whatever a movie makes, that money, the studio sees maybe half of it. So it's the studios might get 200 million back. Now, how much did the movie cost? I mean, it's really, we don't actually have the budget in front of us, but in terms of the costs, the marketing, and then people always forget to include studio overhead and things like that. But there's money that has been spent and money that you're getting back. And it didn't get a China release, which I'm sure was kind of a blow, but they probably should have known that because it deals with sorcery a little bit and the supernatural. But it's not a disaster. And when Dwayne Johnson,
far from it.
Yeah. And when Dwayne Johnson talks about Captain America 1, the thing with Captain America 1 was Captain America 1 did not cost what Black Adam cost.
Yeah. And it came out, the first Captain America movie, like I kind of roll my eyes when I hear people trying to excuse today's comic book movies' shortcomings with those original. Because remember, when Captain America: The First Avenger came out, comic book movies were not the de facto most powerful things in the box office.
No.
It was movies like Captain America: The First Avenger and others like it that kind of paved the way. The fact is, today we are in an era where comic book movies are the most powerful forces in the box office.
And if you look, Captain America's box office, I think, was the least of Iron Man and Thor. I mean, it didn't make that much.
I think it was like 370
worldwide,
right around where Black Adam is right now.
Yeah, something like that. But it cost like 125 or something. It was not as expensive as the movies are today because it was all still new. You know, they didn't know if it was going to work, and this was the movie that led directly into the Avenger.
By the way, I think
Avengers.
this movie that Jonathan's got, I think that's the third most underrated comic book film of all time. Obviously, I think it's Man of Steel #1, Thor, the first Thor movie #2, and I think First Avenger is the third most underappreciated comic book movie of all time.
And that uniform's great.
Oh, it is great.
So I think that that's something that needs to be, people need to remember that. That was a different time. That was a decade ago. Well, it was more than a decade ago.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? We got the major trades now doing he said, she said, one saying, no, it actually lost all this money. One saying, no, it actually made all this money. I personally think the numbers suggest that it's somewhere in between.
And also, I think everyone has to agree that it was disappointing.
89% audience rating.
Right, but in terms of box office.
Yeah, in box, absolutely. Everybody will acknowledge it was a disappointing result. So, guys, question is for you. Where do you see this? Or does it even matter? Listen, when you're talking about whether it made 10 or lost 10, it's still in that same thing. But I don't know. What do you guys make of all this? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Rob, what is our third main topic today?
John, it comes from Eric the Red. You guys talked last week about the huge news of Mike Flanagan leaving Netflix for Amazon. Man, things move fast because I just saw on Twitter that he's already got big plans. Looks like he's got the rights to the Dark Tower and is making a series out of it for his new Amazon home. Are you looking forward to something like this? And how much do you think Netflix is kicking themselves for letting this guy go?
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in. And yeah, of course, a few days ago, a big shakeup. For those of you who pay attention to the behind the camera talent, behind all the great stuff we see on TV and streaming in the movies, a big coup d'etat. As Mike Flanagan, who had been putting out some big popular stuff for Netflix, got stolen away by Amazon. Amazon, by the way, has been making some major moves recently.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a big coup, being able to get this guy away. Midnight Mass is massively popular amongst the people who watch it and all that kind of stuff. Well, now they're already announcing a project he wants to get working on. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. The Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass creator Mike Flanagan and his producing partners Trevor McKay have acquired the rights to adapt Stephen King's The Dark Tower into a TV series. Flanagan and Macy revealed the news Thursday in an interview with Deadline, which dove more into the pair's recent decision to move their Intrepid Pictures overall deal from Netflix to Amazon. Now this is important, predating our deal with Amazon, we acquired the rights to The Dark Tower, which, if you know anything about me, you know it has been my holy grail of a project for most of my life, Flanagan said. We actually have those rights carved out of our Amazon deal, which doesn't mean that they can't or won't get behind it at some point. You don't know. But that's something we'll have to develop ourselves and are really passionate about finally getting it up on its feet at some point. Okay. So prior to this whole thing happening, he and his partner acquired the rights to The Dark Tower. And he's saying that, listen, the assumption that you made in your email that Amazon's going to be doing this, not necessarily. Flanagan, for reasons he did not go into, said they carved that part of the deal out. So it sounds like if he does develop this Dark Tower series, there's going to be a bidding war for it. And Amazon, even though they are now under an Amazon deal, this one project, this one property is going to be something that they themselves will have to get involved with and bid for. Although I'm sure now being their home, they'll probably have a little bit of a leg up. But anyway, Rob, I know you are a big fan of Flanagan.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of The Dark Tower. What do you make of all that?
I find this fascinating because, John, you probably remember that Ron Howard and Brian Grazer and Imagine had a whole plan for the Dark Tower series, all 7 books, where they were going to adapt the books as like series and then make movies as well.
And have them all interconnected.
All interconnected. And all of that went kerflooey because, again, you'd need a real visionary financier or studio to get behind something like that, and people probably balked. And we ended up getting the Idris Elba version, which didn't satisfy anyone. Now, Flanagan directed Dr. Sleep, which was, I thought, it's the sequel.
I loved Dr. Sleep.
I really did too. And,
for those of you who don't know, it's the sequel to The Shining.
It's the
And
sequel
it
to-
was wonderful.
and Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. I mean,
Ewan McGregor was great in it.
Really, really good stuff. And I think that clearly based on something like that, I know Stephen King was very happy with that adaptation of the book. I think that, like he's been making this is something Flanagan probably used his clout after people saw Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass or whatever, that I'm sure Flanagan called Stephen King up and said, yo, or if they had to extricate the rights from somewhere, Universal or something, Flanagan would use his clout to go. He went and got his passion project, which I think is awesome. Now, I still want to know why Netflix let him go. Don't understand. Have no idea why that happened. But Amazon could get behind this plan. And I think that Flanagan said, look, until you commit to everything that we want to do, we're carving this out for ourselves. But I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix, because what they're going to want is somebody to commit to all of it. Not like what's happened before. Like we're going to adapt all the books. Although it does, I mean, The Dark Tower is the series, Wizard and Glass and all that. I don't know how that's all going to work, but I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon does get behind this because, again, they're making moves. What a coup for them.
And I don't think it's a matter of that they let them go. I don't think it's a matter that Netflix let them go.
Right.
I think Amazon is playing big boy games right
they
now.
are. Yeah, 100%.
Because, and I think we made a mistake. And when I say we, I mean all of us. I think we made a mistake in kind of not recognizing the tectonic shift that was happening when Amazon grabbed up MGM. I think it was, this is an important thing, MGM, but I think that was just a forerunner of things to come. I think Amazon has been, because this is not the only significant move they've made lately. I think they've been sending up the signal flare that they are very, very serious about developing their own entertainment division. I actually believe another major acquisition is on the horizon. A major acquisition is on. And I think they are getting more and more serious about this. And I think they simply went to Flanagan and said this, look, your deal with Netflix is expiring. We'll give you double. We'll give you these types of budgets. We'll give you this kind of, I think they simply made them an offer that Netflix was in no position to.
Because of their own
counter.
stock price and their own.
Exactly.
I agree because Amazon has endlessly
Endless
deep
pockets. Yeah.
So I think you might be right in terms of acquisition or things are changing. But hey, it's only going to last for 5 years until we can all make our own movies just punching in
Into the AI.
And they'll just spit out whatever movies we create every day. How'd the movie go today? Well, I made a 30-minute short film about 1920 Chicago where I starred as a gangster.
It's called Requiem for a Tuesday. Anyway, a little inside joke if some of you guys know it. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you make of this? Mike Flanagan looking at doing The Dark Tower. This has got a lot of people excited. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it won't. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of our video here today. I used them this morning on the treadmill as I do every day, our friends at Raycon. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Raycon. Guys, the holiday season is upon us, so in the spirit of giving, allow me to give you my recommendation. Premium audio products from Raycon. Raycon's wireless earbuds, headphones, and speakers offer premium sound. Anyone you gift them to will find a use for them right away. And as the person doing the gift giving, you're going to love the fact that they start at half the price of other premium audio brands. You guys know I've been using my Raycons for a long time. Every morning I get up and get on my treadmill, and I love using the Raycons because they're comfortable, they fit perfectly, and most importantly, they sound great. You can find Raycon in stores now like Kohl's or Walmart, but let me tell you right now, you're always going to get the best deal at buyraycon.com/Campea. The Raycon website also offers free shipping, free returns, and buy now, pay later options, plus a 30-day happiness guarantee. So guys, right now go to buyraycon.com/Campea to get 15% off site-wide with the code HOLIDAY, plus free shipping. That's code HOLIDAY at buyraycon.com/Campea for 15% off your Raycon purchase. buyraycon.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Raycon for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move into main topic number 4. Rob, what is our 4th main topic today?
John comes to us from Benson. Good morning, John and team. I love my horror movies, and the new Blumhouse project, Megan, has looked really promising to me, even if it does feel a little like a Child's Play ripoff. Anyway, the first reactions are out, and they're all saying it's awesome. Have you had a chance to see this movie yet, and what do you think of the initial reactions coming out for it? Thanks.
All right, thanks for sending that in, Benson. And you know, it was back in April at CinemaCon that we were at that they showed us this kind of big preview for Megan. And I'm going to be honest with you. I remember we did our video, our post-studio report wrap-up, and I said, it doesn't, I didn't think it looked all that interesting, to be honest with you. Now, the trailer started to come out, and the trailers looked better than the preview did. But I still must admit, I have not had it on my radar. I have not thought it looked all that great, even though I'm a big fan of Blumhouse and what they've been able to do at this point. Well, they did a screening for it the other day.
Really?
The reactions for it, actually, somebody in this room was at the screenings for that. Our own Taylor was there at that one. They've started coming out, and now the first reactions to it are coming out, and listen, they're outstanding. Like really, really, really good. We go over here and look at a couple of these. Amy West wrote, well, Megan rules. We all know I love a killer doll, and this gal is up there with the best of them. The movie is packed with creepy moments, LOL-worthy shots, and sassy one-liners that I'm grinning gleefully over. Less bloody than you might expect, but I had a blast. Our friend Eric Davis wrote, in case you're wondering, yes, Megan slays. Definitely more of an amusing social satire than a straightforward horror, but it's inventive and clever and very entertaining. Without a doubt, it elevates the scary doll genre, but now I need a Megan versus Chucky movie immediately. Drew Taylor writes, Megan rules. I got a feeling that was a line in the movie somewhere. Megan rules. I was expecting a campy killer doll movie, but wasn't prepared for its effective tonal tightrope act, sly satire, and emphasis on horror/comedy stylings. It's more of a killer robot movie too. Also, great song choices. Director Jared Johnstone is the real deal. Then we go on to Simon Thompson, who writes, Megan is pure mayhem and a megaton of twisted fun. The dark and occasionally irreverent tongue-in-cheek humor deliver a movie that is highly entertaining and full of surprises. It's a smart and sassy blast with some tasty kills. See it in theaters and watch the crowd go wild. And it just goes on and on from there. All the reactions coming out. Now, look, I suppose we shouldn't be surprised. Blumhouse puts out some stinkers. They do. They've put out a number of stinkers to go along with the ones that they knock out of the park. It really feels like Blumhouse is like a heavy hitter Major League Baseball player, where every time they go to plate, they're either going to strike out or they're going to hit a home run. This seems to be one of those home runs for this movie. Now, I'm going to throw it over to you, Taylor, and ask you. You are the only person in this room who actually saw the movie. You have appreciation for these types of films. You like these types of films. Did this movie work for you?
This movie was so much fun. I was like dying with laughter. I didn't expect it to be that funny, but I went to the world premiere last night at the Chinese Theater, and the night started out great because right before the movie started, they had about a dozen girls come out dressed as Megan, and they did her dance routine that's in the trailer. I was like busting up. And then right after that, James Wan and Jason Blum came out to introduce the film. But Jason Blum came out full costume dressed as Megan.
Jason Blum did.
He was, full costume. He did it for Halloween, but to see it in person, I was just like, whew, I almost needed my inhaler. He looked like one of the Wayans brothers in White Chicks more than he looked like. look like Megan. I was like busting up. But I didn't know this till right now because I was just reading about it, that the writer of this, Akilah Cooper, also wrote one of my favorite horror movies from last year, Malignant. And so if you like Malignant, I think you're going to love this one.
Which James Wan directed.
Yeah, this movie is just like exactly what the trailer offers and promises you. It delivers on every aspect
Here's
of it.
the surprising thing about this is when, like, maybe I missed one or two of the promos lately, but the preview they showed us at CinemaCon, the first trailer I saw no hints that this was part comedy. I saw no hints in the marketing, but everybody's saying is that great kills, great scares, but really, really funny. So I don't know, Rob, what's your reaction to this?
Well, the latter trailers, like when she goes after this kid in the woods, like on all fours, I mean, that alone, this shot alone, it's been clear in the marketing. They've kind of ramped up that it's a satire. But I have to tell you, I thought this looked good at CinemaCon, and it looked better and better. But the thing that I think is really cool is since Atomic Monster, James Wan's company, and Jason Blum announced their alliance, this is kind of, I think, their unofficial launch. I mean, this was already in the pipeline before this alliance was announced.
Well, I've heard some people suggest this is the project that kind of forged the way for them to have their merger.
And look, if this is what we're going to get more of, bring it on. Because, Malignant was a hoot. And I love the fact that I'm sure, because James is that kind of guy, based on that experience, he finds talented people, he brings them to work with. And look, I'm excited to see more great genre cinema that's getting theatrically released, that is made by people that really know what they're doing. And what the major studios really haven't done is you use these to launch new talent. And they, Blumhouse especially, Blumhouse and James Wan have found really great people to make these things that are being launched. We need new talent to be making movies. So it's great to see this happening.
All right, guys, question is for you. The early reviews coming out of Megan are surprisingly to me, because I didn't think it looked all like it, but everybody's raving about it. It looks like Blumhouse has done it again. What do you guys think of this? Is this movie even on your radar? Are you planning on going to see it? Do the reactions and reviews do anything to sway you one way or the other? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into our fifth and final main topic today, shall we? Rob, what is our fifth main topic today?
Here we go. Basil Hindash says, "Hi, John and crew. Big fan of the show, all the way from Nottingham, England. The button has been pushed. What do you think about the news in regards to Wonder Woman 3, Superman 2, and the rest of the DCU slate being paused or even rebooted at some point? Do you think this is the best way for the DCU to start from scratch? Thanks, and bring on the filthy."
All right, here we go. Yesterday, news dropped, and it wasn't out of a Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart site.
Nope.
It was the Hollywood Reporter, I believe.
An exclusive to the Hollywood Reporter.
Exclusive to the Hollywood Reporter, that Wonder Woman 3, that Patty Jenkins has been notified that Wonder Woman 3 is scrapped, that it does not fit in with the plans that James Gunn and Peter Safran, the new CEOs and chairman of the brand new DC studios, and this just coming right off of Patty Jenkins submitting a treatment for the new movie, and Gal Gadot getting on social media just the other day saying she can't wait to play the character again, and this is all coming. And according to reports, that thing is done. They're scrapping it. It ain't part of their plan. Now, we're going to get more into that, but the story doesn't end there, because what flows from that is the fact that it doesn't just look like Wonder Woman is gone. It looks like, from the story, and then we're going to get to some comments James Gunn has made this morning about this in just a moment, but let's stick with the story for right now. It looks like that they might be approaching a wholesale reboot of the DC cinematic universe. There are things being thrown around that Jason Momoa is now done as Aquaman, that he's done. There's not going to be any more Jason Momoa Aquaman after the upcoming sequel to Aquaman. And that, pursuant to the stuff we talked about a few weeks ago, that he might be playing Lobo. They may want to recast him as Lobo instead in this universe instead of Aquaman. Also, that Superman, now done. That any plans there were, and by the way, this story confirms that last month, Henry Cavill shot a cameo for the upcoming Flash movie. He did it. This is in the Hollywood Reporter. He shot a cameo. And apparently, that's now going to be taken out. And any plans there were for Henry Cavill's return as Superman, now gone. They're talking about this is going to be a wholesale reboot of this thing. Now, this comes to us from the folks over at the Hollywood Reporter who wrote the following. Part of the plan could entail a truly fresh start, having no baggage from any previous regimes as they set about resetting how DC movies and shows are made. That, however, does not take into account the possible success of movies such as Shazam! Fury of the Gods on March 17th, on which Safran is a producer, and Blue Beetle coming out on August 18th, 2023. Would that plan include forging ahead without the actors who inhabit those characters and recast them, even if those movies prove to be box office hits? Observers are convinced the plan calls for an interconnected story universe, and there is rumbling about the establishment of a creative brain trust. The brain trust may already be rolling in some capacity, as sources say that Peter Safran had in recent weeks been meeting with writers at his Los Angeles home in an effort to hone the presentation, gathering feedback and ideas for the plan. Now, this all comes as another part of the story is suggesting that next week is when James Gunn and Peter Safran are meeting with Warner Brothers head David Zaslav to present him with their roadmap, to present him, this is our 10-year plan, 8 to 10-year plan, whatever. And it includes scrapping everything, at least according to the report. Now, before we get further into what that could all mean, James Gunn took to social media this morning to address these reports going around. And you can bring up my screen here if you want, Jonathan. But James Gunn says, so, as for the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided whether or not it's true. Now, he goes on to say that, look, we're looking for ways to take what hasn't worked and all this kind of stuff. He has a long series of tweets that you can go on to James Gunn's Twitter and see what he had said. But really, this first thing he tweeted kind of sums it up, right? Okay, so what's the parts that's true? I think what's clear, what the Hollywood Reporter was most certain about, Wonder Woman 3 is done. That's not happening. The part that is kind of half true, I think, is the part about rebooting the universe. The part that is not true is necessarily might mean a 100% season 2 of Peacemaker. Very, very few details you'd have to retcon to make it fit in with whatever this thing's going to be. So that's fine. Blue Beetle, for all we know, Blue Beetle is going to feel very solo on its own. Like, we may watch Blue Beetle and really there may not be a lot of references to the bigger DCU anyway. So maybe Blue Beetle's something that could continue. Blue Beetle, by the way, which we've heard Warner Brothers is very big on. They liked it so much, they promoted it from being an HBO Max release all the way up. And we can take down that tweet now. From a HBO Max release all the way up to being a full theatrical release. So it could be that that movie doesn't even have anything majorly tied into it anyway. So that could be fine too. So for me, and what I've had a lot of people asking me is this. John, if, and it's still a big if this works out the way it's looking like, that there's no more Henry Cavill Superman, are you okay? Are you all right, John? Are you going to be all right? Are you feeling faint? Do you see shining lights in front of your eyes? Are you going to be okay if there's no Henry Cavill Superman? Look, let me address this. Everybody knows I am the world's #1 fan of Henry Cavill Superman. He is my favorite Superman of all time. I think Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, is the most underrated comic book film of all time. I'm a huge fan of it. I literally did laps when I found out, when Henry Cavill got on social media the other day and says, I'm back as Superman, all that kind of stuff. Super happy, excited, thrilled, blah, blah, blah. But that was before James Gunn took over. And I'm going to say this, and this may surprise you, but I have always said stories are not there to serve the characters. Characters are there to serve the stories. And characters are not there to serve the actors are there to serve the characters. I have said for years, for those of you guys who have watched me for any period of time, you know this. I have said for years that really the ideal, I believe, approach, there are other ways to do it, but I've always said that I believe the ideal play for DC is to reboot it. Maybe that'll cause some short-term hurt, but I believe the long-term success of DC but would benefit greatly, would have a much better outlook if you just started from scratch. Got rid of all the baggage that comes along with it and just starts from scratch. And because I'm a person that believes the story comes first and your universe comes first, it hurts. It makes my balls itch.
Manscaped.
But it would mean that I would have to say yes. That would even mean that my beloved bro from another Mo, Henry Cavill, would have to be gone as Superman. You would have to start again.
You're my boy, Blue.
You're my boy. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy. And if that is the plan, then you don't do it half-assed. If the plan is to reboot, then reboot. Don't do it half-assed. Don't go, well, we'll reboot, but we'll keep this and we'll keep this and we'll keep this and we'll keep this. Figure it. Now, again, James Gunn is saying part of that report is true. Part of it's half true. Part of it's not true. So where the full truth of this whole story lies is still yet to be seen. But I will say this, Rob, that if this is the plan to reboot, to go all out, restart DC, I got to say I'm behind it. There are other things they could do, but I would be behind it, even if it means that I can't get Henry Cavill. But I believe a couple things would be untouched. I still think we're going to get Peacemaker because that wasn't really connected to the DCU anyway, other than a few minor references. I believe it doesn't at all impede or hurt. I almost said Matt Reeves's and Robert Pattinson's Batman because it's outside of the DCU anyway.
Joker's safe too.
Joker is also
Folly
completely
Due is
safe because it falls well outside of the DCU anyway. So it's really a shame. Wonder Woman was the first true big hit for the DCU. When that Wonder Woman movie came out, what did it get into, like the $800 million range? If you can look that up for me,
Yeah.
Taylor. But it was the first legitimate hit for the DCU that was beloved by the critics, by the audiences, and by the box office.
822.8 million.
822 million. It was their first big one. It's the one that made it look like, oh my God, the DCU may actually be legit. And I don't know what this means for Gal Gadot, but regardless, if it's to reboot, then reboot, even if it means I can't have Henry Cavill anymore. Anyway, Rob, let me throw it over to you. James Gunn and Peter Safran have been tasked with a major job. Take DC, which has, whether you're a huge DC fan or not, I think we can all agree, has not lived up to its potential.
Sure.
I think is it fair to say that, everybody, that it's fair to say, big fan or not, that it has not lived up to its potential, and say, we need a DC that can not only compete with Marvel's success at the box office and success in the movies, but can actually maybe threaten it. If James Gunn and Peter Safran say, well, the way to do that is not by slapping Band-Aids on the bullet wounds, it's to start fresh. I don't know. What's your big takeaway from this story that we've got, and what way do you think they're going to go?
I think they're going to reboot. I think they're perfectly poised. I mean, in a way, Aquaman will be the final film of this era of DC because you have Aquaman's coming out next Christmas. So we'll get Fury the Gods will come. And so you'll have 2 Shazam movies and a Black Adam movie. That'll be the sub-Shazam universe thing. You got Flash coming out. The Ezra Miller situation has made it so that's a one and done. And then, look, I'm sorry. I love Gal Gadot, and I'm a fan of Patty Jenkins. Wonder Woman 84 was Highlander 2. That film was god-awful.
I don't think it was as bad as Highlander 2, but it was a big step down.
It was
from the first
awful.
one. Yeah.
And magic and everything about it. It was such a step down that I'm sorry for everybody involved, but they did that to themselves. There's no way. There's no way you give that series a third film. You don't do it. So,
but they were 1-1 at that point. Like, they had one really great film, one really bad one. I mean, I think an argument could be made that you give them a third go if you're not rebooting the whole franchise.
no, that's the thing. Everything must go. And
yeah.
you know what? That was Shazam had 2 movies, Wonder Woman had 2 movies, Aquaman had 2 movies. At the end of the day, now is the time. All the stuff that's been put into position from previous administrations and even begun in previous administrations before the administrations, like Kevin Tsujihara's reign and Zack Snyder, all of that goes away. It definitively allows James Gunn and Peter Safran to do what they were hired to do, which is start from scratch, start anew, give us a brand new day. I mean, and you know,
new day. Sorry, I had to do it.
But that's what they should do, and I think that's what business is. And they've still got these movies. Everything is there. They've still got movies coming out. But whatever the plan that they are on, that they're going to whatever they're going to implement after the first of the year, allows them. I mean, even Blue Beetle. Hey, you get a Blue Beetle movie could be great, but I don't see Blue Beetle unless it's $1 billion movie. It wasn't supposed to go out theatrically, but it was good enough to be a theatrical film. That introduces the idea of a character. They can keep the character if they want, but really, they're in a really great position where this era is done, and they can end it with dignity and honor. Everybody gets to walk away having done their best work. Even Peter Safran, who's a producer of the Aquaman movies, is like, yeah, we did Aquaman and Aquaman The Lost Kingdom.
And Shazam. I mean, everybody, James Wan's moving on. Everybody wants to, I think, end this. So there's nothing lingering. And it's brand new. Here's here's something new. And we get James Gunn. I mean, hell, what I'd love to see him do is lead with Justice League International, do the comedic. The comedic version of the Justice League from the 80s was awesome. And I'm not saying James Gunn's going to do that, but if they started with that, because you were always talking about how they could start with the Justice League movie, now they can do whatever the hell they want. The audience knows who these people are. You recast the pantheon of JLA members and you put them in the movie. Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, they're all recast. And we see them all at once. That's the way to start your shining new era. Don't do a single character movie. Give us a brand new Justice League. I am so in tune with you on that. I've said that for years.
Meanwhile, whole of family.
This whole thing that you don't have to do, you have to do the Marvel formula.
Not
where solo. Then, no, you don't. Guardians of the Galaxy proved you don't need to do that. Star Wars, I've said this for years. Star Wars, you didn't have to have a solo Luke Skywalker movie, a solo Han Solo movie, a solo Obi-Wan movie, and then, no, you were able to do Star Wars. Look, here's the other thing, too. And I think this is the piece of the puzzle. I put out a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, and it didn't even make 400. We put out a great movie. I think Shazam was great, and it couldn't make $400 million. Blue Beetle is not going to blow up the box office no matter how good it is. And you know what? I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people who will disagree with this, but this is the truth. There is baggage attached to the DC name right now that they can't shake.
No.
I think a part of the reason Shazam didn't do better, not that it was ever going to be $1 billion film, don't get me wrong, but I think part of the reason Shazam only did as well as it did, I think part of the reason that Black Adam only did as because it did, is because a lot of the audience has simply lost faith in this brand. When you look at all the drama and all the ups and downs, and listen, I say this as a fan, I've only ever given negative reviews to 2 DC movies. That was Harley Quinn, The Fabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. And I can't remember what the second one was that I didn't like so much. But anyway, I'm a guy who's given positive reviews to every single other of the DC movies. But there is no getting around that the average moviegoer today, the perception, whether it's fair or not, you have to agree that the perception is that Marvel is here and DC is here. And just trying to slap Band-Aids on it and by the way, look at the confusion surrounding Batman right now. Right? Well, wait a minute. Is Michael Keaton the new Batman? Is Ben Affleck coming back as Batman? Are they recasting a new Batman? Like just all this kind of stuff. It does feel like maybe the best alternative here is to say, look, they've tried triage for a couple of years now. This ain't working. Even our big win, Wonder Woman, followed up falling on its face. And we haven't been able to have a really big win since that. And it's time to just, like you said, reset the clock. And I love your idea because I agree with it. I've said this a long time. You start your new universe, and I don't know if this will do. Boom, Justice League. You start with it. I love that idea.
And can you imagine if Justice League, now I'm not saying, it's hard because people don't understand. Let me be clear. I'm talking about tone here. The tone. James Gunn has a certain buoyant, fun, let's have a great time at the movies tone. That's the kind of Justice League we need. Not this not some bordering on Schindler's List, darkness or whatever. You need a Guardians of the Galaxy. You need color. You need excitement. You need fun. That's why, and I think that James Gunn, because he knows the DC universe so well, it would not surprise me that, and I'm not saying they're going to go that funny, because it was kind of a goof too, but it was a great series. And what was really interesting was I remember in the mid 80s when that came out, J.M. DeMatteis and Keith Giffen and Kevin McGuire doing the art. It was so much, that comic series was so much fun. It totally reinvigorated the Justice League and became an enormous hit. So, and it was a complete, because they were the DC comic universe at that time, the Justice League was kind of in that same place it is now cinematically. And when they put this out, it was a breath of fresh air. It was so entertaining reading those Justice League comics at that time. I couldn't wait to get the next issue. And they're going to do, that's what James Gunn knows this. And that's what he's going to do. And I swear to God, look, I used to think James Gunn would direct a Superman movie or whatever. Now I'm convinced it's all ending and they will do a big move. Because you know what? That's what David Zaslav expects. They're not going to be, our first DC EU movie is going to be Lobo. They're not going to do that. They're going to come out and give us a brand new Justice League movie with color and fun and excitement and awesome villains. And they're going to recast the whole thing. And when we figure out, when they give us the announcement, probably at Comic-Con next year, they're going to bring all of the new cast out. It's going to be totally super secret. No one's going to know who it is. They're going to make a huge deal about it, because another thing James Gunn is a veteran of Comic-Con. He's a veteran. Yep. He knows exactly what to do. And that's when they're going to make I would imagine, John, we're not going to know what they're going to do. Not right away. Not right away, because they're going to put the pieces in place first. They've got to figure out who's going to write these movies.
Right. Well, I think we will find out a little bit, because David Zaslav wants to start changing the public perception. So he'll start probably spilling a few things. But I agree. And again, we are speculating. Start off with the Justice League. They very well could do the old formula of launch with a couple of standalone movies. And maybe that'll be great and that could work. Or maybe they don't do it at all. But yeah, I mean, again, it's very clear. Now, I see some people in the live chat are saying, just keep the cast. You can't keep the cast.
No.
Because if you keep the cast, all you're doing is creating a lot of confusion. And if you want to change perception of the DC universe, you're not going to change the perception that the public has of it if you just have the same cast.
No, and the thing about it is that cast was forged with a certain tone. And this has to be a new tone. The very DNA of how these characters, the DC characters, are presented on film is going to be different. There's going to be no vestiges of anything that they currently have. And you know what? It might be hard to deal with or whatever, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Look, if James Gunn has proven, both in the worlds of Marvel and over in DC, he makes great stuff. That's all he does. He makes great stuff. And whatever they end up doing, whether it is a full-blown reboot, whether it's we're going to reboot and we're going to retcon a few things so we can keep some things, whatever approach they're going to take, I think is going to be great. But this is huge news, guys. I mean, the dropping of Wonder Woman, all that kind of stuff. Question is for you, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of people asking about this as we get into the super chats, but question is for you guys. What do you make of all this? Do you like the idea that they're cutting out Wonder Woman 3? It looks like any Superman plans might be gone. Maybe James Gunn's tweets right now may think it softens a little bit. Maybe it reinforces it. What do you think they're going to do here? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, it is now time to go over to you guys and hear your thoughts and theories about all this. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be asking about this Justice League stuff, so we're not done talking about that. If you want to get a comment or question in, We are now opening up the super chats. We only leave the super chats open for just a couple of minutes, guys. So if you've got a thought, theory, opinion, or question, fire that in now, and Rob and I will address those when we come back from our break. And a break that we are going to take right now to thank one of the sponsors, our main sponsor of our show, my mobile phone service provider, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM, while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say it is the perfect time to switch. I have absolutely loved using Mint Mobile, and like I've told you guys many times, I am now spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend under one of the other major mobile carriers. And now with the whole buy 3 months, get 3 months free deal, it's even better. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. No joke, guys. The phone service is incredible. I am spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend with one of the major carriers. Highly recommend you guys go and check out Mint Mobile. All right. With that down, guys, let's get to your super chat salary. Rob, what do we got up here first?
Well, we start with My Comic Planet, who says, if Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is over, how would you assess her career going forward? A lot of people feel she's in limbo.
Listen, it's not been a great time for Patty Jenkins. Her Star Wars movie apparently got shelved. We'll see if that comes back or not. Her Cleopatra movie, I think that's completely in limbo. I don't even know if that's happening. Now Wonder Woman's gone. Look, I know I have been very unpopular by saying, ever since she was cast, Gal Gadot is not that strong of an actress. I think she's gotten better. I do. I think we have demonstrably seen her make progress in her acting. I do. And I want to give her all the kudos in the world for that. But if you watch Death on the Nile, a movie that is filled with some great actors, it becomes clear who was the weaker link in that movie. And unfortunately, when it comes to pure performances, I think that's usually the role she ends up filling, the weaker link. I think the strongest performances in Wonder Woman were Chris Pine, which, I mean, that's not a knock against him because Chris Pine is often going to be the best actor in whatever movie he's in. She's got a few projects in the books right now, not a lot. I don't know that the future is bright for Gal Gadot. And I know that upsets people when I say that because they love her as Wonder Woman. I get it, but she has never been that strong of an actress. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
Well, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, you know, it's not like her team had got her a lot of another starring. The fact that she didn't get a significant starring role after Wonder Woman is pretty telling.
Yeah.
You know, and I like Gal Gadot, I think, but she's married to some rich Israeli hotel magnate. And she's a mom.
Oh, yeah, and she's set for life.
Yeah.
By the way, when they were promoting Wonder Woman 84, I know the movie didn't turn out the way we had hoped. I actually became a little bit bigger of a fan of hers because the way she promoted that film and the way she engaged with her fans and the audience, she truly strikes me as an extremely delightful person.
Oh, I love her. I mean, I think every time you see her, she is a delightful person. But that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, a studio can bank more $200 million movies on her.
You know what my favorite role of hers was? I mean, it was probably
come on, she's a Fast and Furious veteran. I love her.
But what was that comedy she did with Zach Galifianakis and John Hamm?
Was it the Imagine video where she sang Imagine all the people when COVID was happening?
But the comedy she did with Zach Galifianakis and John Hamm, where I think her and John Hamm were married and they were super spies living next door to Zach Galifianakis and Isla
Keeping
Fisher.
Up with the Joneses?
What's that?
Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Keeping Up with the Joneses. I actually really like her in that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
thought she had some nice little comedic.
And I
timing
think
in that.
maybe she'll just rebuild her career. I'll bet you she winds up being a deft comedian. You know,
we'll
I mean,
see.
and even in Red Notice, there was stuff she did I liked.
I did not think she was very. Then again, I didn't think the movie itself.
The movie's
was
not very good.
No.
But, you know.
All right, we gotta keep moving here. What's next?
A. Marcellus says, "Are you guys tuning into the Game Awards today? It starts at 4:30 your time. I'm excited for all the surprise announcement, but most of all, the world premiere of Jedi Survivor gameplay."
I'll tell you what. While everybody knows I have a lot of fun playing video games, but I am not a gamer by any stretch of the imagination. But I have a lot of fun watching the Game Awards, or should I call the Game Commercial Show? Because it's right. Ray, back me up here. Is it fair for me to say that 85% of the Game Awards broadcast is just game ads? Is that fair to say?
That's what it is. And then when they give out awards sometimes to the boring ones, it's just a list of the winners on the sidebar.
Yeah, a list
Oh, the
of-
winner technically. Okay, and watch this new ad for whatever mobile games.
He's not kidding. It's literally 15 minutes of game commercials. And then they go, all right, and the winner for the category of best this, and this is this thing. Now let's do 15 more minutes of game commercial. They literally just blow right by it.
I will say for the time they do use on exclusive stuff just for the Game Awards, that stuff is fire. But there's not a lot of it. They'll have exclusive footage or whatever. That stuff is good, but there wasn't much of it. And then the rest is like commercials. Commercials for games, albeit, but
85%. But you know what? One of the things they do at the Game Awards that I really do like, I think my favorite segment is I think it's near the end, they get their orchestra.
Oh yeah, they do music.
And they play the musical themes of all the games nominated for Best Game of the Year. It's really good when they do that. But anyway, yeah, I watch it every year, so I'm looking forward to watching it today. All right, what's next?
Wraithx7 says, "I think that Amazon might buy Netflix."
Let's put it this way. They could buy Netflix 15 times. I don't think they will. That's right now the market cap on Netflix. What do we say? Somewhere around $130 billion right now, $140 billion. I don't think Amazon's looking to spend that much, especially when they could probably buy Paramount for 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, currently
Right.
137.
137. So I don't think they'll buy, but hey, but the reality is if they wanted to, they could own Netflix tomorrow if they wanted to. So who knows? We'll see. All right, what's next?
Jay Bling says, "When Rob suggested yesterday that Adam Sandler be a part of a new Drew Barrymore Cameron Diaz movie, my first thought was that it's surprising that Sandler and Diaz have never worked together before."
True. I agree. By the way, I really like Cameron Diaz.
I do too.
I mean, I fell in love with her. I to this day believe the single most attractive person in any single movie, male or female, was Cameron Diaz in The Mask. Like Cameron,
That was her debut.
yeah, Cameron Diaz in The Mask will melt your pants. And then of course Something About Mary, and then she went on to show she could do some, like she did that one thing where the girl doesn't want to be a transplant donor for her sister. I think it's My Sister's Keeper or something along those lines. Not a great movie, but a movie she showed she's got real dramatic acting chops. I really liked her Bad Teacher movie. I'm glad to see her. You know what? The first thing I thought when you mentioned Adam Sandler, because we were talking about a potential remake for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I thought Three Amigos remake with Adam Sandler, Cameron Diaz, and Drew Barrymore.
I would see that.
I would watch it, and you make sure Martin Short and Steve Martin have some cameos in there.
Yeah.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
I'd totally watch that.
I would watch that.
I love Cameron Diaz in Any Given Sunday and her masterpiece, The Counselor.
Oh God, I hated that.
And the voice of Princess Fiona.
And
Yeah,
of course, the voice of
of course.
Princess Fiona.
boy.
All right, so she has worked with. No, that of course was Mike Myers. Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Didn't do a voice in that. All right, what's next?
Dumbrodor says, "My prayers might finally be answered. DCEU is getting rebooted and starting a clean slate. However, this sadly will come with some fan backlash."
Everything comes with some fan backlash.
Everything, yeah. No matter what they do, look, you've got to look at what gives us the best opportunity for success 5 years from now. Not what's the best for today or tomorrow, whatever. It's like, what kind of position are we going to be in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now? And the reality, look, my brothers and sisters, you're talking to somebody, I don't care how much you think you like Henry Cavill's Superman. You don't like Henry Cavill's Superman as much as I do. And I say that with a lot of conviction. But that being said, they have got to fix the DC universe. And you know what it is? It's like they're looking over here and they're seeing Marvel driving a McLaren. And then DC looks in its driveway and it's got a broken down 1986 Ford. Broken down, rusted, broken down. Now, you can go, well, let's just fix it up. You know, let's put a new paint job on it and, you know, swap out the spark plugs, maybe a couple new tires. You can do that. Yeah, you can take that approach. That's the approach they've been taking for the last few years. About let's just try to patchwork it. Let's just
It's like grease lightning.
It's time to haul that thing to the dump and buy a new car.
Or you could go to the Yamava Casino and perhaps win a McLaren next week.
That's
next
right.
month.
They're giving away McLaren there.
Away McLaren.
But that is the analogy here.
Yeah.
They have got a broken down old car in their thing, and you got two options. You can try to patch it up and try to fix it up, but you're still at its core going to have this property that's coming along with a lot of baggage. The Carfax on it is not good. It's been in a lot of wrecks. Or you can get rid of it, start clean, and look, and maybe they'll find a way to do something in between. But I've been saying for a long time, I think the right approach is to reboot. That gives you your best chance for success long term.
I totally agree.
All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw says the Celine Dion diagnosis and video she posted, I watched this, is heartbreaking. You think there will be any sweet reference to her in Deadpool 3?
No, I don't. And I don't think they should. I mean, unless if Celine Dion, good Canadian girl, by the way, if Celine Dion passes away, they're not saying she's going to.
No.
But if she did between now and then, yes, then I would expect something like that. Other than that, I don't think somebody like Ryan Reynolds would use somebody's health issues as a cheap heartstring pull moment in a movie. So I don't think they will.
Although, I could see him putting her in the movie as the roommate of that woman.
Well, when you go back, listen, her song, Beauty Out of Ashes, or whatever the actual title of the song was, her song for Deadpool 2 should have been nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. That is one of the best songs made for a movie ever. By the way, somebody in our live chat, I lost it here. Somebody in live says, John, you should get James Gunn on for an interview on the show. Oh yeah, because I can just pick up the phone and say, James Gunn, come on. Tell you what, you guys jump on Twitter, tell James Gunn you want me to interview him on the show. And the moment he says he's available, which he's not, but the moment he says he's available, I'll do it. But you guys got to get James Gunn to be available for it. Plus, I don't have that kind of pull.
I mean, think about the position they're in right now. They're finalizing, you know, they went away to, I think it was Aspen. Peter Safran and James Gunn went away for living in the mountains,
nice.
Figuring this out. I mean, this is a big deal that they're doing. They've been given the keys to the kingdom. They've had to plot out a 10-year plan. They're very experienced guys. They're presenting it to the new head of Warner Brothers. It's going to be a while before James Gunn's going to come on a show like this.
And the moment he says he can do it. All right, what's next?
Sackboy says, are you going to tune into the... it's what it says. You know, like the video game. Are you going to tune into the Game Awards today?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. Absolutely, I am. All right, what's next?
You know, the funny thing about the Game Awards,
Dumb Brodor says, finally finished The Walking Dead season's final season. It was a strong season with an emotionally charged and touching ending. I can't believe it's actually done.
You know, listen, I tapped out on Walking Dead about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. I tapped out. It was a good show. I enjoyed it. To me, it ran its course 6 years ago. So I would say to anybody who has stayed up with the show and followed it through, do not lament that it has ended. Celebrate how long it lasted. Very few shows last as long as this show did. And with the type of popularity that it had, it's an incredible accomplishment.
And they're still making them.
Yeah, they've got a Daryl spinoff. They got a bunch of other, there's still tons of stuff to that universe. All right, what's next?
So, Dan's Production says, it seems like DC reboots every 10 years, laugh out loud.
I don't know. When did Man of Steel come out?
2013?
Was it 2013? Has it only been 10 years?
Okay.
Yeah, almost 10 years, 9 years. Yeah,
so.
but it's time. Say, look, a lot of film franchises reboot after the first movie. So yeah, but it's time. It's the right thing to do. But again, maybe James Gunn and Peter Safran will find something that's in between a clean reboot and find some way to bring some other things. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Oh man, this June 14th, we're gonna have our 10-year rewind for Man of Steel.
Wow. That'll be 10 years since I did that review.
Scary.
All right, what's next?
You ready with that graphic, Ray?
Get ready.
June.
Dragon 10 says, you can't do a full reboot of the DCEU and keep Peacemaker. There were cameos from Waller and the Justice League. Has to be all or nothing. Can't pick and choose.
You're completely wrong.
Well, why does it have to be all or nothing?
Because you just mentioned it yourself. There were cameos. Like I said at the very beginning, I said, all you have to do is retcon just a couple of small things. That little cameo with, fuck you, Barry, or whatever, that you just retcon that little cameo, you retcon Waller. Very minor because they were, like you said, they were just cameos. So for something like that, I bet with Blue Beetle, I haven't seen Blue Beetle, but if they do that movie in such a way that it doesn't really connect to anything else, and if it is, there's just a few minor things you'd have to retcon, there becomes some things that are available to you to move on. Aquaman, no, that would have to be done. It's too integrated with everything else. But stuff like Peacemaker and that, not really. And even James Gunn's Suicide Squad as a whole really wasn't, other than a little Waller thing. All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet says FTC is suing Microsoft to block its 69B acquisition of Activision. This is big news, and you can bet if Apple ever wanted to buy Disney, they would be hearing from the FTC.
Not really. That would be a complete. No, I read a great article on that before. If Amazon wanted to buy Disney, it really doesn't, because you would have to show that it then becomes a monopoly or threatens monopoly. That's a very, very different kind of space. And Amazon is not considered a big player in the entertainment space at this point yet. They would just kind of be seeing it as a ball being handed from one hand into another. So I don't think there would be a lot of problems there. But yeah, the Activision acquisition, that could be huge, and we'll have to keep our eye on to see how that develops. All right, what's next?
Kay the Specialist says, we need the gray and blue Batman.
I'm not quite sure what
Just like in the suit?
Costume from the comics.
Okay, not eras. You're just talking about a costume.
Yeah,
my feelings on costumes are irrelevant. They don't really matter.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, the thing is, does a gray and blue costume, does that look good on film? It's not necessarily. People don't quite understand sometimes the reason comic book costumes are translated the way they translate is to look better on film.
Yeah,
And
because
so-
the Adam West Batman costume would not look good on film.
No.
It just wouldn't. I mean, I'm even the color, which
And I
was
like.
great.
I mean, I like the gray and blue. It can be done correctly, but it's hard to do in a feature film.
All right, what's next?
Chef Rigo says, I always wondered, was the Dark Universe photo with Tom Cruise and everyone else real, or a really good photo edit?
I believe they did get everybody together for a photo shoot.
I think so too.
I don't know if you can find that picture, but yeah, this one image will go down in infamy as they teach the Hollywood history and how to approach building a franchise and how not to try to approach building a franchise. This one photo, if you guys are going to be able to find it, of Tom Cruise, Javier Bardem, Russell Crowe, Sophia Boutella, and who else there? And who else is in there? Oh, and Johnny Depp, who I think was going to be in The Invisible Man. Like, they were going out full force promoting this new cinematic universe before they had even put the first film out to see if it would succeed. And this shit, like herpes, sticks around. Nobody's ever going to forget this. It will always, this picture is infamous for a big failure. And be careful about getting too far ahead of yourselves, gentlemen. All right, what's next?
JT Hiskey says, most of Gen Z is too young to remember when Avatar 1 first came out in theaters. Laugh out loud. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Wild.
Yeah, and listen, I'm going to admit some right now. I heard some people coming out. I remember Comic-Con, they did this big preview for it. And I remember, hey, I will call myself out on this. And some people saying this thing's going to be huge. And I'm like, I remember saying, this will be successful. I mean, it's James Cameron. It'll be success. The guy who made Titanic and who made True Lies and Terminator. It'll be successful, but this isn't going to be like huge. Well, yeah, that didn't age well.
No, but I mean, look, here's the thing that Avatar, especially theatrically, provides that a lot of people poo-poo now because they weren't there. it was an incredible theatrical experience.
Yeah, which we didn't know until we saw it, but you're right. It was a
and you
really
sat in
big
the theater,
experience.
and that's why it was so huge because, like I always tell the story about my mom. You know, she was blown away by the whole thing. People forget what that's like, and I think I'll tell you something. Top Gun Maverick was a big success because people had so much damn fun watching that movie in the theater. I mean, when was the last time you had? I think Everything Everywhere All at Once had a certain element of that. That's why it was the #1 film in A24's release slate, because it was fun to watch in a theater too. But like Top Gun Maverick provided big thrills that we don't get anymore.
Can you imagine if the first time you saw that movie was on a TV screen?
No. I mean, we saw it in Vegas, in Celine Dion's theater, on that giant Dolby Vision installed screen. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was incredible.
And I think people are going to get that from Way of Water, and they're going to be like, 'cause I love in the reviews that people are like, there was so much to see. I was mesmerized by the fish.
Yeah, I like that one. I couldn't stop looking at the fish.
I couldn't stop looking at the fish. I mean, people are going to, that's why the movie, it's not just a movie. You talk about experiential events. That's what Avatar provides. Probably the most experiential of all theatrical events.
All right, what's next?
For the senses. Bobby Jackson says, "Hi, John. Last night I had a chance to see Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle at the Honda Center and spotted you and Ann. Did you have a good time? Personally, I laughed my full head off."
I was telling the guys when I came in this morning. Yeah, Ann and I went to go see Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock last night. We had some pretty good seats. Our buddy Ryan got tickets for us. I just went to go see Jerry Seinfeld, which was one of the best comedy shows I've ever seen. Jerry Seinfeld is still the guy. I have never been to a better comedy show in my life. That Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle show, whatever people think about each of them individually for whatever reasons, I have never laughed that hard in a comedy show, ever. I was almost sick from laughing so hard. Ann's face hurt from the constant smiling and grinning. That place was packed. That hockey arena was packed. It was a truly, truly great show, and I would go again in a heartbeat. I'm glad you had fun at it, man. All right,
cool.
What's next?
Dante Sorecchia says, "There was a great DC novel written by Alan Grant called Last Sons. Superman, Lobo, and Martian Manhunter. Gimme."
I'm not familiar with it. Are you?
I do not have that. I know the book, but I didn't read it.
I'm shocked to hear that. That sounds like something you would have a collector's edition of.
I know. I don't. There's so much out there, John.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
But I mean, you might see stuff like that. But look, I think that they're going to.
Nice pull on that picture there.
I think they're going to go back to basics. You know, they're going to give us some traditional stuff before they get weird.
All right, what's next?
Raymond Verada says, "I got a new large screen TV, so I started playing my 2003 THX remastered DVD set of the first 3 indie films. I'm not sure how the tech works, but the video still holds up. Kudos to the production."
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Hear
there's
that? DVDs.
Yeah, there is a lot of technology that will do upscaling and stuff like that that can still look really, really good.
And those sets were good. Those early, it kind of came in that orange parchment kind of box. That was good stuff.
I still remember when I got my Lord of the Rings DVD set, and I was just stunned at the Christmas and Christmas crispness.
Yeah.
And that's completely outdated at this point.
Oh, yeah.
But it still looked really good. All right, what's next?
HV3 says, "I am seeing spoiler alert tonight. Has anyone seen it yet, or are you planning to see it? I think this will be Jim Parsons' breakout role."
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Jim Parsons
Yeah.
from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I know very little about it. Do you know much about it? Because you see everything. Like,
I'm actually going to go see it tonight at 7 o'clock.
of course you are.
Yeah, it's based on a memoir from, I think, 2017. It's about a gay couple, and one of them has terminal cancer. I'm looking forward to the movie, but I think it's going to be a really, really tough one to get through. But it looks good.
It's
Sally
an odd
Field.
title.
Yeah, well, the name of the book is spoiler alert: the hero dies. So they just shorten the title for the movie, but
Because you hear the title spoiler, you think it's going to be some fan community fun, kind of like a fanboys kind of movie, but very, very different apparently. All right, let us know how it is. All right, next up.
Red Arrow 1316 says, I think the MCU needs an adaptation of Marvels.
I don't know what they're referring to.
Marvels is a great comic series that Alex Ross painted. That's an examination of the MCU, but from the point of view of a human being, like a man on the street. Reporter.
Kind of like what Kingdom
basically.
Come was?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
It's kind of like that.
All right. What's next?
Kyle says, hey, John and crew, my heart does break that Cavill will no longer be Superman, but that could quickly change if they cast my guy Tom Welling in the role.
Never.
What do you guys think? Any chance they would?
No, and they totally shouldn't. That would be a horrendous decision.
No.
They're not. They're making a DC universe. They're not making Smallville the movie.
And they're going to cast people. They're going to cast, I would imagine, a younger version of these characters, late 20s, like Christopher Reeve was when he played Superman. So these characters can move through a 10-year period of time.
You can still, I still believe, especially with a character like Superman, you can still, I believe, do early to mid 30s with
Sure.
an actor, because that guy could still probably play that role for 15 years or
Yep.
so. And again, we don't know what's happening here. Listen, I'm doing my eulogy for Henry Cavill as Superman, but the reality is they may find a way to keep him in there, whatever. I mean, we don't know what their approach is. We're simply talking about the reports, what we think about the reports. Do we think it would work? We would. But the fact of the matter is, until you guys talk James Gunn into coming on this show and doing an interview about this, we won't know for sure until we hear from James and Peter. All right, what's next?
Jim XM says, in the word of the famous Lido, it's gunning time.
Where
Instead of
did
Morbin time.
Because
Leto.
get James Gunn time. Oh no, can't do that one. All right,
That's
what's
a
next?
stretch and a half.
Sith Loud says, the bullets from Gunn hit swiftly.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm happy to see a reboot. Yeah, let's start with the JLA first. I'm so down with that. Which villain would you love to see?
As I always say, Sith Lord, it's irrelevant who the villain is. It really makes no difference who the villain is, because all that matters, you could have a completely unknown villain, but if you write them great, that's all that matters. Look, again, I always bring up Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is arguably one of the, if not the greatest villain in the history of comic books, right? They've tried Doctor Doom 3 times, and it's never made the movie better. All that matters is how they write it. And I really do. The reason I've always been full gung-ho for the idea of restarting with Justice League is because instead of trying to do a solo movie, start with Justice League and you introduce a new Green Lantern. You introduce a new Cyborg. You introduce a new Flash and a new Wonder Woman. And now that you've got them introduced in this big, hopefully bombastic spectacle of a movie, now you can do solo films and they've come with a built-in audience instead of trying to develop one from scratch.
Yeah.
So again, that may be the way they do it, might not be the way they do it, but that's why I'm a fan of the idea. All right, what's next?
Admiral Akbar says, game day.
Game day.
Too Hot to Handle is back, and boy, I have not been more excited in my life. Garbage TV for the win. Oh, and the mean one tonight. Game day.
Oh, can I take back my game day?
What's the mean one again?
That's the
the Grinch horror movie one, right? And what's the other one? What's Too Hot to Handle?
Oh, that's Rob's show on Netflix.
That was
Yeah.
on our streaming.
That's the sexless sex show.
Oh, that's what we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, that's not my. Don't call it my show.
I've never heard of that show before. I've never heard of it. But
Well,
season
in that
4.
show, Rob roots for the losers.
all right, what's
Touche.
next?
Touche. Jai CSC says, despite the rumblings we've heard so far, I hope we get a mix and variety of DCU and standalone stories, like an Elseworlds imprint for movies.
Listen, one of the most exciting developments in the world of comic book movies, I think, was when they announced a standalone Joker movie.
Yep.
I still remember where I was and going, yes, not everything has to be shared cinematic universe. The comics were never all just shared cinematic universe. The comics themselves lay the foundation that shows you can have these Elseworld, what if, one-off kind of stories that tell great creative stories, rather than have everything be confined to what's been set up in a cinematic universe. The answer is not one or the other. The answer is both and. Not in equal number. Like, I'm not saying you have to do a standalone for every shared cinematic universe movie, but maybe 3-to-1, 4-to-1 shared cinematic universe. I hope they do continue that. I think they will with Joker, with Robert Pattinson's Batman. Hopefully they'll do others as well.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Mickey Bell says, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm annoyed at this report. Why should I get excited or care about Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, Flash, or Blue Beetle?
I'll tell you why. I've been asked this question for years. For years, this kind of question. I will tell you why. For the same reason I get excited to see The Fabelmans. Because it's a good movie.
Right.
This obsession, this addiction that everything's got to be interconnected, shared cinematic universe is ridiculous. Like, why should I get excited about seeing Godfather 3? If the Godfather trilogy, they never did a fourth one. They're never gonna do more. Why should I get excited about going to watch those movies? Because they're great movies. Why should I watch Goodfellas? They never did the sequel. So why should I watch? Because it's a great movie. You get excited about movies because the movies, hopefully, are going to be good, fun experiences. Movies are not good or bad based on whether or not they do 6 more films after it. They're either good or bad because the movies themselves are good or bad. We go to the movies to have a fun, good experience. And you go to Aquaman 2 because hopefully James Wan is going to give us a great, fun Aquaman movie. Doesn't give 2 shits about whether there's going to be Aquaman 3. This insane, obsessive addiction that everything's got to be shared cinematic universe has got to go. It's got to go.
I look, I agree with you. I'm excited about Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, because I love the first Aquaman. I don't care what happens in Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom and how it relates to the first movie. So Black Manta's in it. So, I mean, if they're, what's The Lost Kingdom? Who lives there? What's there? Why is Aquaman going there? I don't know. I'll see the movie because of that.
Do you guys remember when a movie would come out and then you'd hear about a sequel and go, oh no?
I know.
Yes,
Yes.
you're right. It's like, oh, why are they doing it? Why is everybody going?
Why are they doing that?
Cheap sequel.
Now it's like, well, if there's not going to be 6 more films planned, why should we bother watching? I don't know, because they're supposed to be good movies.
Yeah.
Hopefully good.
Hear me
movies.
out. Titanic 2, The Thawing.
By the way, there is a Titanic 2 out.
There is that.
There is.
Yes.
It was made by our friends at
Asylum.
They
And
made
also there
Titanic
is
2.
Raise the Titanic. That's a real movie from like the late 70s. It's
All right.
real. Big budget.
What's next?
Super Crazy Movie Geek says, would you guys like Tony Gilroy, would you like a Tony Gilroy Jedi-centric movies?
About the writing the story.
I just
whatever.
want good stories by good creators. Tony Gilroy's a good creator. You could tell me he's doing anything, I'll be excited about it.
Yep.
Jedi, sure. Yeah, I'd be down for it. All right, what's
watch.
next?
Orlando Rodriguez says, wow. Have Taylor look this up side by side. Hans Gruber's main henchman looks exactly like Damon from House of D and acts exactly the same.
Oh, you're talking about the twins?
You're talking about Alexander Goodenough, right?
That was one of the twins, right?
Yeah. Boris and Alexander Goodenough.
Which one's the House of D?
House of Dragon. House of
Oh,
Dragon.
okay.
So
I
he's,
thought they were
blonde
literally
hair.
saying like
Yeah.
House of D.
House of the Dragon. Yeah, but Alexander Goodenough doesn't look exactly like Matt
Right.
Smith.
He's bigger too.
He's
Had the
way bigger.
hairstyle. Had the hairstyle.
Yeah, yes, but his hair was a little stringier
That's true.
than Matt Smith's.
All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet says Jackie Chan just confirmed Rush Hour 4 in the works with a photo of himself and Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker's like, phew.
They're both still in great shape.
Yeah, guess what? I still remember a story on AMC Movie Talk where Chris Tucker confirmed they're working on Rush Hour 4. I still remember that back in the AMC days. They have been saying this for years. Like literally 7, 8 years, they've been confirming that Rush Hour 4 is in the works. So,
We should make a story every day until it comes out.
I mean, yeah.
Or off the top.
Oh, that's pretty definitive.
I mean, so no, but they listen. When the story before, Chris Tucker said definitively, we are making Rush Hour 4. That was 7 years ago. So it's just look. I'm not telling you it's impossible that this thing can happen. Not at all. I'm just saying there have been no less than 3 or 4 times that either Jackie Chan or Chris Tucker over the last 7 or 8 years have said we're doing Rush Hour 4. And here we are 7 or 8 years later. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm simply saying I will believe it when we see it because we've heard this song and dance 4 or 5 times. So I don't believe a thing until I see it. We'll see.
why doesn't Chris Tucker do a Ruby Rod movie, his character from The Fifth Element? I want to see that.
I'm down for more Jackie Chan.
All right. What's next?
My Vlog Academia says, love The Fablemans. Have you seen it? And if so, thoughts? I have
No,
not.
like they said, it was playing too far away for me to be able to see it. And then when it was starting to get closer, that's when Ann and I had to leave for our conference trip. And then we were at LA Comic-Con, and then we just haven't had a chance to see it yet. So, and I can't see it tonight because she's teaching, and on top of everything else, teaches at university. So she's got a class she's got to teach tonight. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll be able to see it, which is crazy because I've been dying to see this movie. All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw says, I like Doom Patrol Cyborg version better than Ray Fisher version in the DCEU.
You know what? I'll say this. While I will argue with and win the notion that the HBO version of Justice League is a completely different version of Justice League, it's not. One of the big differences that I thought was the key improvement was Cyborg. I thought that what they did with Cyborg in the and I love Doom Patrol's Cyborg, I really do. But what they did with Cyborg in the HBO version of Justice League, particularly, we got to see so much more of what made him tick.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Right? That whole scene when he's going into the cyber world and finding that woman and like what's going on with her and the struggle she's having, like it gave us so much insight that it brought a lot more heart to it. You know what I
100%.
mean? So while I disagree with everybody who says it's such a completely different movie, no, it's not. But that was the biggest difference to me, and I thought the most important difference and the best difference between the two is what they do.
Hey,
with him.
he's great. Although Cyborg is a Teen Titans character, and I can't stand that he's in Justice League.
So I'll say, in general, I like the Doom Patrol Cyborg more. But if you take into account the HBO version of Justice League, I say I actually got to take this one. I got to take him.
Ray Fisher, he's given a lot to do, and he, like you said, he's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
All right, what's next?
Seconds from Disaster says, as much as I love Cavill and Batfleck, there's entirely too much drama with this DCEU cast. Just reboot it completely. Yes.
At some point, you have too much baggage that you can't just shake off. It
Plus,
becomes attached to you like barnacles.
I want definitive end to anybody talking about it moving forward. I just want it to be done. It's in the rearview mirror. I don't understand. Please support Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. I'm so excited to see Rebel Moon. I don't know what's going to happen with it.
With Sophia Boutella.
Yeah, it looks whatever Zack Snyder's put out, I'm sure he's going to put his all into it and it'll be badass. Let Zack Snyder go make something new.
Now, you were not thrilled with his Army, not Army of the Dead. What was it called?
Oh no, Army of the Dead. That's what it was called.
Was it called Army of the Dead?
That was the first movie I saw after the pandemic for my birthday.
Right. You weren't there. I had fun with it. I had fun with it. The one with Dave Bautista in it. You were not a big fan of that.
I hated it.
Does that give you any trepidation about Rebel Moon?
Well, to me, Zack Snyder's always been very hit and miss. From the first movie I saw of his, Dawn of the Dead, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, the original Dawn of the Dead, I was so angry that somebody remade it, that James Gunn wrote, by the way. And I went in there, my hands crossed. I've never been so ready to hate a movie in my life. Like, how dare you remake this? I liked it. I'm like, you did a good job. I like 300.
I love 300.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great adaptation. Watchmen, I thought what he did with Watchmen was respectful, and I enjoyed because I love the Watchmen comic. I thought it was ambitious and what he attempted. I thought it was a great recreation of the graphic novel, not a great adaptation of the graphic novel, if that makes sense. And I liked his stuff, but
Army of the Dead, not so much.
No. And Rebel Moon, I'm looking forward to.
All right, what's next?
Watchtower 01 says, with the possible reboot of the DCEU, do you think people will not want to see the upcoming movies knowing that they are a one and done situation?
Well, we don't know.
It didn't seem to stop people from going to see Top Gun Maverick.
Right.
Depends on the marketing, right?
Yeah, no,
Marketing.
if the movies look good and the movies look fun, and look, we talked about this yesterday with like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness winning Movie of the Year, which it did at the People's Choice Awards, won Movie of the Year. What we are reminded again of is that those of us in these circles, those of us who watch shows like the John Campea Show, those of us who do shows like the John Campea Show, we look at things a certain way, and we often forget that the 95% of the movie-going public are more casual fans. All they're going to care about is, does a movie look like it's going to be a good time and a fun time at the movies? That's all the general audience cares about. And if they successfully make it look like it is, they'll get an audience. If they don't, they won't. But I don't think it'll have anything to do about whether or not they reboot the DCEU.
John, I've never, ever gone to a movie ever thinking about anything other than watching the movie I'm there to see.
Yeah.
I've never once thought, I wonder whether it's going to, I've never thought that. Flash does not promise another movie. Aquaman the Lost Kingdom is a second film. It doesn't promise a third film. It doesn't promise a fourth film. And Shazam Fury of the Gods doesn't promise anything. They're all movies unto themselves, and they're all coming on the heels of something we've seen previously, but that doesn't mean that there's not supposed to be anything after them. There's nothing that's been announced. They didn't announce an Aquaman 3 we're not going to get. They didn't announce a Flash 2 that we're not going to get.
Yeah.
So why would anyone think anything other than let's go have a good time?
All right, what's next? We're gonna move it along here because we're already overtime.
Josh McGregor says it's a great time to be a subscriber. Last week we got bars from Rob and a free concert from John. P.S. I will never forgive you for not singing the hook of Free Falling.
Because I was doing
love you guys. Bring on the.
I was doing a Ask Me Anything, and I had my guitar beside me. Somebody asked something about my music setup, so I pulled out the guitar and I just did the opening couple of bars of Free Falling, but I didn't get to the hook. I didn't get to the chorus.
Right.
And some people were very upset with me for that. So there you go. All right, what's next?
Peter Cunnington says, I live in Canada, but I can't get Mint Mobile, even though it's sponsored by a great Canadian kid.
It's owned by a great Canadian kid. Ryan Reynolds is not like some spokesperson for me. He's the owner of Mint Mobile. And yeah, it is weird, but listen, different countries have different rules and different laws. I mean, I don't think Mint Mobile not being in Canada, I mean, I haven't asked Ryan this, but I don't think Mint Mobile not being in Canada is like Ryan Reynolds going, no, I don't think we need to be in Canada. It's probably much more complicated by that, but it does suck that there's this company that a good Canadian kid like Ryan owns, and he can't even have it in Canada. I'm sure it will be there someday, though. All right, what's next?
Just Ventus fan 93.
Juventus.
Just Ventus fan.
Juventus.
Yo, Juventus. What is Juventus fan 93?
Soccer.
Hey guys, thoughts on a rebooted Wonder Woman trilogy starring Ana de Armas based on Wonder Woman Earth 1? That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Ex-actor and ex-role.
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, Ana de Armas is a great actress, so that would be great. There's also 20 other actresses you can name that I think would be equally good. But listen, especially after seeing Ana de Armas in that James Bond film, I mean, who's not down to see her in an action role?
Ballerina.
I mean,
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
So, yeah, of course, if they named her as the new Wonder Woman, be thrilled because she's a great actress. She can do the physicality. But it can be one of 20 other actresses as well.
Yeah,
But that's a good name. All right,
I
what's
like that
next?
idea, and that comic's good. Drew says, hey, Rob, adopt me as your son so I can inherit your physical media collection. Just kidding. Love you guys and bring on the filthy.
You know, a few years ago, let you guys know about this little inside stuff.
John adopted Rob.
Yeah, no, but Rob,
It's true.
I remember you telling me, I remember us sitting down, we were still at Collider, and I remember us sitting down, and I remember saying, you know, I think I'm just going to start selling off my stuff. I remember you saying, like, you're talking about your DVD collection, your physical media, your collectibles. You're like, so much of this stuff I never even touch or look at anymore. What am I holding on to? I think I might start, I can make a lot
You're
of money.
throwing me under the bus.
I'm just saying,
Under the
it was a
bus
very
thrower.
interesting discussion that you said.
No, it's true.
And because you were pointing out, like, I don't touch or even look at a lot of this stuff ever, and
bus driver.
you can't take it with you, so I can get a lot of money for it. What changed your mind?
Well, here's the thing. I still think this way because it gets to the point where, I don't know if it's Sweden or Switzerland. I read somewhere that when you get to a certain age, you start giving the possessions you own away.
Yeah.
So you don't leave your next of kin stuck with them. But, it's funny, I guess because I started talking about them online, like doing shows about physical media and stuff, and I felt like I've got to hold on to this stuff. And I want to do this. I mean, the idea
You
is
just can't pull the trigger.
Here's the thing. What I really want to do is I want to slim everything down so I can enjoy it. And I'm trying to do that in my house. I'm trying to throw a bunch of stuff away. But physical media, there's just so much good physical media, John. There's never been a better time to buy movies on physical media these days.
Well, and if you're really into physical media, there's never been a more dire time to get it. Like, now's the time to get it.
Oh, you got to get it now. The real thing is the players.
Yeah, it's becoming hard to get your hands on players.
They don't make a lot of great players anymore. And for how much longer are they going to do it?
All right, what's next?
Rob and his physical media.
Well done. Well pulled.
Thanks. Matt Sanders says, pour one out for all the Cavill Man of Steel lovers.
And by the way, Matt sent in $20 super chat for that. Thank you, Matt. Look, you guys know there's no bigger cheerleader for Henry Cavill returning as Superman than me. But you have to do what is best for the overall franchise. And if that is rebooting, then and guess what? We're still going to get a lot of Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill ain't going anywhere. But I got to admit, they're just sting because I've been getting so excited about seeing him back as Superman.
But we don't know what's going to happen.
And we don't know. Yeah, it may go one way, may go another. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see what James says.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Russell Amador says Baba Yaga.
I mean, look, I still am waiting for James, for John Wick to make him the Baba Yaga again. Because he hasn't really been the Baba. I really like John Wick 2. I love John Wick 3. But I am waiting for them. We talked about it before. The first John Wick, the name John Wick struck fear into everybody in that universe. Once you got into John Wick 2 and 3, nobody cared that he's John Wick. Who cares? Oh, you want us to go after John Wick? Okay, every single low-level hitman goes, I'm going to go after John Wick. Whereas in the first one, the head of the Russian mob goes, it's John Wick. Oh.
Yeah.
And like, where's that? I really hope they bring that back into the, especially after the events of John Wick 2 and 3. How much higher has his body count gotten?
Oh,
I don't care what hitman you are.
Yeah.
You go kill John Wick. Yeah, you go fuck yourself. I
Yeah.
am not going after John Wick. Like, I want to see them bring that back a little
At
bit.
least in the fourth one, they have one man who says, I want to fight him.
Yeah.
And if, how maybe that absolves him of his sins or however that's
The
gonna
high
work.
table. Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, while you're here, if you want to help out the channel and help this video out, why don't you take a second, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to the channel. For this video, guys, just go down there right now, click the thumbs up button, leave a comment or two. All these things help spread our videos out to an even wider audience. Don't forget to join us a little bit later again this afternoon for our open mic that I'll be doing. And of course, return again tomorrow for the next installment of the John Campea Show. So, for everybody in the room, guys, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, Ray Orr back there with his great graphic goodness, Jonathan Voico running the show, Taylor Gonzalez doing the fact checking, and for myself, John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.